I'm Vin.
I'm Sorry.
That's Booby.
And Vita and Chip and Colby.
This is going to be interesting.
Why?
This is the first time we've seen Dream Theater live.
Oh.
So this is a live version.
Yeah, that's true.
What's the name of this song? Breaking All Illusions.
Yep.
Okay. So, so I'm very, very, very interested to see how that's going to go. If you want to see our life behind the scenes, you can check out My Sorry Life.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to see my opinion on certain timely, topical, political commentary, you can check me out at Middle America, Vin and Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we also do Fireside. So if we do a Fireside for the Middle America channel, then it's probably going to be a political discussion, right? Or a current events discussion. It doesn't necessarily have to be political.
Right.
We just did the Gillette thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or by the time this is released, probably not just. And then if we do it with Sorry, it's just everybody's chilling, we're having fun, we're maxing and relaxing, hanging out with each other. Okay. This song, Breaking All Illusions, from the band Dream Theater,
is not a concept album.
Is not a concept album, okay? But I'm very, very... So, I've had a very interesting relationship with Dream Theater. I didn't really like Dream Theater at the beginning. I think we listened to a song that all the Dream Theater fans were like, who told you to listen to this? They're like genuinely offended. Colin, that was like the first time Colin ever was like mad at me. That time, and then, what was it? Painkiller.
Yes.
He was pretty mad at me about that too. But we're still boys.
He's still here.
Still my guy. Alright, so Breaking All Illusions, Dream Theater, let's do it.
Go. was a really good one too. At the beginning, when it started, it has like that rising feel to it, and it was like kind of churchy to me. Like it reminded me of like some really like good like church times that I've had, like when there's been huge groups of people, and then all of a sudden like they went into like their instruments and their metal. I'm like, nope, not church.
Well, there's this band called Metal Church. Could be Metal Church. Could be Metal Church. You never know. Yeah. This was an epic. Well, it's funny because the song "Life's True Intent Needs Patience." It's a 12-minute song.
Oh yeah.
Patience indeed. But well, here's the funny thing about this song. This is the perennial reason why I do not like prog metal. Because you have these interludes, these like expanded interludes of instruments. I hate that stuff. However, because I saw them do it live, I liked it.
Yeah.
Which is very, very interesting. That's why I was like kind of smiling and shaking my head, because I'm like, if I'd have heard this as just a record and not seen them play it, this would have lost like a point and a half.
Somebody knew
for
what
me.
they were doing by sending you this version.
Maybe. Because everybody knows I'm a sucker
Yep.
for live
Yep.
stuff. But, you know, sometimes we've heard live songs and people be like, well, why'd you do the live version?
I know, yeah. You never know.
But I don't think these boys are going to have that problem. Good Lord.
They're really good. What?
You talk about people like mastering their instrument?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Like there was one part
and they
where...
seemed happy doing it.
There's one part where the guy's hitting the keyboards and he's flying on the keyboard, and then the guitarist is like flying on his guitar. And the bassist is keeping up, and like you're doing all this at like pretty high clip, pretty high speed, pretty high pace, and they're keeping it. They're all in rhythm, all together, and it's like the
Well done.
The capability of human beings sometimes blows me away. It's like it's unbelievable to me, like what we can do and how we figured out how to manipulate sound waves and vibrations and all this to come up with what we've come up with for music, and it's mind-boggling to me. Be able to for human beings to be able to come up with that, it's magical stuff. So yeah, if this wasn't live, I would have been like, bruh, here we go, more reasons that I hate prog metal.
Yep.
But because it was live, because I saw them actually do it.
I know.
And that bassist, like he was just like lost in his instrument, man. Like he was just going for it. And a lot of times, like
There was so many pieces to that drum set too.
well, yeah, that was the other thing about the kit.
Yeah.
That kit was pretty crazy to me.
Yeah.
That was like mind-boggling. Like this dude is keeping beat with all that stuff, and every little symbol and every you know all that, everything has its place and reason it's there and all that. Like seeing that type of virtual, like it's rare that like every person in the band is like a virtuoso. Like, the guitarist is crazy. You can tell the guitarist is crazy. You can tell the bassist knows his stuff. You can tell that the drummer's out of there.
Yep.
That keep like the vocalist, that guy with the vocals. I mean, it's just crazy to me that people can find each other on the planet
I know.
who are that gifted. I think somebody said they went to school or something like that.
Oh, really?
I'm not sure. Dream Theater fans, did these guys go to school? I think they all went to Juilliard or something.
Together?
Yeah, I'm not sure. And they're like, hey, let's. They're all studying music theory, and they said, hey, let's start a band. Like that's the only thing that makes sense to me, where you can like, because like for example, like early Metallica.
Yep.
It was obvious that Cliff Burton was the highest talent in the band. It was obvious. Like he was just on another level from everybody else.
Yep.
And I think a good case could be made for Mustaine too. Like he was, like Burton and Mustaine were just on another level. And the other guys were kind of like, you know, not that they weren't good. It was just that Cliff was just a special dude.
Yep.
You know? And like who could you point to and say, okay, that guy's the highest talent in the band, in this band?
Oh, I don't know. Everybody did excellently.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like any one of these guys could be in another band and they would automatically 9 times out of 10 be the highest talent in the band. But this band is like the Avengers. Like everybody comes together and like that's it. Coloss.
Yeah.
God Almighty, good song. But again, I guarantee you, if I heard the song initially from the record, I wouldn't have liked it. I don't like it when you just have random instrumentation going on for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I can't stand that.
Yeah.
Can't stand it. But for some reason, if I see it live, I don't know, maybe it's the...
Well, you can see.
Yeah, I think the problem is with prog, for me, it's like, it's too technical. And so I don't feel like the spirit of metal is there.
Yeah. This
Like,
one changed a lot of times.
there are a lot of signatures and a lot of changes. It was meandering all over the place. But that's the thing that gets me. Is like I feel like there's a lack of like soul in the music, which is why I think I like Neo, because there's a death vocal. Zen to me in Neo adds a sort of human element to like just the hyper technicality of prog. To me.
Yeah. Yep.
So then when I see these guys live, I'm like, oh, it's not just androids playing, scales and whatever. Because it just seems to me that they're like, all right, I got a bunch of scales here, and this is how this, obscure guitar guy said that these scales could meld into each other in a way that's not very popular. So I want to cut this in half and put this together and and it's very impressive. It just lacks the what I'm looking for in metal.
Yep.
And so this would have been like Exhibit A through Z of that. But then when I see it happen with the actual human beings, and I see that, yeah, they're doing a lot of crazy scale work and sweeps and stuff, but they're into the music.
It does make a difference for sure.
It makes a difference for me, for sure. So there you are. So what's this song about? Breaking illusions. With the sun in place, there's a test of faith. Streams of thought awaken, new realities, singularities. I like that.
Oh, me too.
I like that rhyme scheme. I like the way that sounds off the tongue.
Me too.
New realities, singularities, breaking all illusions. Sudden bursts of heat, burning source of life, masterful destruction. Power is not an act, it's understanding truth. So that's a big bang, right?
Is that what's happening?
Sudden bursts of heat, bringing source of life, masterful destruction. Because it's a big bang, and an explosion is generally looked upon as destructive, but at the same time...
It didn't say bringing source, it said burning source of life.
Burning source of life, yeah.
Okay. What else sounded like?
So, what says masterful destruction, which is kind of like an oxymoron. Because usually you're talking about a master builder or whatever, but this
Are you sure it's not the sun burning out?
Well, sudden burst of heat, burning source of life, masterful destruction.
Yeah. Because over here,
like
with the sun in its place, there's a test of faith.
Yeah. Streams of thought.
You have to just trust that it's going to stay there. What do you think that it means?
Well, I'm on the second stanza. To me, the second stanza is the big bang.
Okay. But it says destruction.
Well, yeah, because an explosion generally causes destruction, but in their worldview, the Big Bang is the start of all of this, which eventually the explosion brought forth all the order that you see now. And that's why it's masterful destruction. It's an oxymoron.
Okay.
That's how I'm interpreting it anyway.
Okay. Power's not an act, it's understanding truth, changing my direction.
That's a good point.
I don't get it.
Like having real power is not what you can actually do in the physical world. It's not an act. It's understanding the truth. Understanding truth is where real power is. Not what you can do in the world. Not something that you can act on physically. It's the truth that guides you.
Yeah.
Because it says changing my direction. So
okay, because he understands truth, he changes his direction.
Well, yeah, because whatever our actions are based on some form of truth.
Yep.
It's like, I'm going to kill this guy because you have some sort of understanding of truth that makes it so that killing that guy is what you need to do. But if you could convince a whole slew of people not to kill other people by putting forth a different truth or the truth, then that's more powerful than anything. And that's the thing. It's like, the powers of persuasion, being able to persuade somebody that... And what is persuasion really but saying that putting your version of the truth up as a candidate and being able to convince the other person that your candidate should be elected,
right? Or
i.e. adopted. And once a person really internalizes that for themselves, then that's the most powerful thing in the world. Because, of course, from our perspective, we believe that the whole thing got screwed up because of our belief in a lie. So if a lie is powerful enough to destroy the world,
How much can the truth do? Yeah.
and then of course what we say is that God himself is the personification of truth, because
Right.
Jesus said, I am the way
the
and
truth, and
the
life.
truth.
Yeah.
All these people that say Jesus never claimed to be God, yeah? You ever ran into anybody that claimed to be the truth?
No.
Not like I
They
am,
have the truth.
not like
They
I
are
am
the
coming
truth.
with the truth, or
Right.
like I am telling you truth.
Right.
I am the truth. Of course, truth is whatever corresponds to reality, and so, you know, Jesus is claiming to be the ultimate reality that is, you know, like, it's like the clearest claim to be divine ever. Okay. So that's a good line. Power is not an act, it's understanding truth. Whew.
Look at that chorus. Live in the moment. Breathe in a new beginning. Wisdom revealed as I unlearn to learn. I like that part. Wisdom revealed as I unlearn to learn.
Yeah.
Because there's so many times that happens where you have to like stop the way that you were thinking or seeing something, and you have to unlearn it so that way you can actually learn something that's actually true. You've done that so many times with me. I'm like, oh.
Well, you have a finite amount of space in your hard drive.
Yeah.
So sometimes things have to be deleted for, you know. So, yeah.
Well, sometimes too, our thoughts come with presuppositions, and so because you already have this thought, you can't see the other.
Yeah.
You can't see another version that could be truth because you have your presupposition, so it makes it so you're unable to see. So sometimes you have to get that out of the way, get the presupposition out of the way, so you can actually see clearly to say, okay, what is the truth?
Yeah. And of course, I would say that all of our thoughts, probably, if we looked at them, have some presupposition in it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know. I mean, even most of us, if you think in English, or you think in Arabic, that very language carries with it a ton of presuppositions. Just the very language itself.
Right.
There's a lot of people think in pictures. They don't think in languages, because it's a different way of processing, you know, reality. Of course, once they start naming those pictures, they automatically go back to their native language.
Right.
Which carries.
And then we're like, I can't explain what I'm trying to say.
Right. Right. That is an interesting concept, though. Living in the moment. I hear that a lot. Live in the moment, breathe in a new beginning. And I wonder sometimes about the wisdom or lack thereof of that idea.
Like,
Like,
how could that be a lack of wisdom to do that?
to live in the moment.
Oh, because you're not like thinking long term?
Well, right. I mean, it's a staple of children that they can only think of. Like, so for example, you know that experiment they do with the kids. They say, okay, hey, here's this cookie.
Yeah.
And if you take this cookie now, you can have it. Nothing will happen to you. But if you hold on to the cookie, if you don't eat the cookie for 5 minutes, then you'll
get a whole
bottle of box of cookies.
Yeah.
And so it's really a test of, are you living in the moment, or are you
Looking to the future.
Right, because the future doesn't exist. It's a concept you have in your mind. The only thing that exists is the present. Even when you enter into what you thought was the future, it's still the present, and it's never like you thought it would be.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really exist. And so, if a person were to say, I'm going to live in the moment, you have the one cookie. But most of us would celebrate the kid that held out for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then had the 5 cookies. Most of us celebrate that and say, well, that kid's going to do something with his life. We don't celebrate the kid that just ate the cookie. Well, he's living in the moment. So
That's true.
So it's like,
It's interesting.
it's like, I'm not necessarily. I think there's some sort of you know. Of course, some of this comes with just experience. When you experience things, like some stuff is, you know, like wine. Right, wine isn't good until it's
Had
got some time to,
Right.
you know. So I'm not sure that this concept of living in the moment is really a good thing. I don't think only living in the future is a good thing either. There's got to be some
Or
sort
the
of
past.
Or I think living in the past is probably a terrible.
A lot of people do it.
Yeah, I think living in the past is probably the most destructive way to look at the world. I think living in the moment is probably less destructive than living in the past. But living in the future is also destructive. You've got to kind of have both feet in the.
Yeah, I think you have to have both.
You got to have your feet planted in the present and the possible future.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I think you're screwed either way. It's like, hey, I'm not going to eat this cookie. But then once you get the cookies, then you got to enjoy that moment of getting the cookies.
Yep.
You can't look past that and say, you know. So, live in the moment, breathe in a new beginning. Life's biggest battles are often fought alone. My spirit brings me home. That's especially when you're talking about spirituality, if you connect those last two lines. A lot, and it's really interesting, like when you think about like all the greats, like, you know, obviously we're Christians, but like Buddha, you know, he had the experience, he was pretty much by himself. Muhammad, when he went to the cave, and he was by himself. Jesus gets baptized, and then there's this public declaration, this is my son, but then he goes off by himself. Moses goes off by himself. So I think that's like, I think that's a part of our collective consciousness that you have to, at the end of the day, whatever reality is out there that you think is it's really interesting. Like Sam Harris is really getting closer and closer and closer toward a naturalistic, esoteric kind of thing. Like he's talking about like life after death now and stuff. Like
really,
yeah. He's a really interesting. Like I'm very interested to see where Mr. Harris ends up because what I see a pattern with him and his disciples that they're all looking for some sort of spirituality that they can scientize. I think, but at the end of the day, you have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Because like, of course, from my perspective, I think it's because God wants a personal relationship with us. Not that once you make that discovery, you're always alone, but I think there are only certain discoveries that you can have with the divine being that can only happen by yourself. And you still need a community, and you were built for community.
For sure, yeah.
But there are certain types of truths and knowings that can only happen between you and God. Which is one of the reasons that I don't have a big primer on converting people. You know, there's a lot of people who are messaging me after we were talking to our Satanist friend. Why didn't you blah blah blah? It's like that's between them and Allah. Like, I mean, what do you want me to do? I say what I think God wants me to say in the moment, and I don't say anything more than that. And I don't engage people with this thing that I have to convert them. Like, I'm just supposed to love them, and that's it.
Right.
Halas. But because that's a personal thing between them and God, you know. And your spirit brings me home. That's interesting. Emerald's thoughts flow through my consciousness, drawn to curses left behind. It's test of will, the threshold to one's faith. Starts a fire in the mind. Drawn to curses left behind. So it seems like
Emerald thoughts. Do you think that's? It's probably like such a huge stretch that it couldn't be, but like, you know, when Dorothy was trying to go in The Wizard of Oz to the Emerald City, like Emerald thoughts, like.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's
thoughts to get home. Thoughts.
I don't think that's a stretch at all. Because,
get what she wants.
Because he just said, "Spirit brings me home," and then the next thing is, you know, Emerald thoughts flow through my consciousness, drawn to curses left behind. So I think this is like the battle, because in order to maintain your faith, is that you're drawn to like the old way of thinking. And now that you've had that experience alone, right, and you got this new beginning and you have this new way of thinking, now you have to fight to maintain that.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's true. Like you do have to fight. And a lot of it's really like, I don't know, my fights with Christianity or my fights with my faith never really have to do with there's this new scientific discovery that, like, to me, God is just a foregone conclusion. Like, there's nothing anyone can say or do that would make me ever for 2 seconds doubt that God was real. The same thing with Jesus, the resurrection thing. Like, this is going to be strange, but the resurrection thing to me is almost more certain to me than the existence of God. Which is very strange.
That is strange. That's interesting.
It's because Jesus has actually like interacted with the world, the physical world, with this on this planet. He was actually here. You know, so those aren't the things. But then, you know, the issues like the the starving kid in Africa, or the starving mother in Africa, or you know, Rachel Held Evans talked one time about this girl who she was watching this girl get stoned by the Taliban, and you know, she just grew up in that environment, and then I think she'd gotten raped or something like that, and then boom, you know, now they're stoning her to death, and then Rachel Held Evans said, according to the theology I was raised with, this girl's now in hell, you know, like. She grew up in hell, and then she went through hell to leave this planet. Those are the things that like literally kept me up at night. Literally, like I don't understand how anybody that's a Christian can hear or read of the doctrine of hell and not really have a panic attack, an anxiety attack about it. And I'm that's something that I still to this day like wrestle with conceptually, and I kind of have a concept, and you know, I've talked about it before, but that's a major thing where you have to kind of fight, hold on to your faith and things like that. So, but it's interesting to me because I run into Christians that they don't care about hell. They're like, but they doubt that. You know, sometimes they doubt that God exists, or you know, that Jesus. You know, so it just everybody has their own personal battle where they have to
wrestle through something
to hold on to their. And it doesn't matter what your system is. If it's a non-belief system, I've seen tons of people fight like hell to maintain their unbelief.
Oh yeah.
I've seen people white knuckle it.
Yeah.
Because what you believe generally really isn't under your power. That's something people don't realize. It's like belief or unbelief is really not in your power. And so like when your mind starts,
That's interesting.
Yeah, when your mind starts to get changed, you can't help it. It's like nobody like can you stop believing that 2 + 2 = 4?
No.
Like you can't stop believing that as an act of your will.
Right. Yeah.
So both of those things are true. Like if you have faith and there's something that really gives you a gut punch, you have to fight like hell to kind of keep it going.
Yeah.
And if you don't have faith, but then faith starts to impose itself onto your mind, you got to fight like hell to keep that unbelief going.
Yep.
Shout out to the big homie Ben. Anyway, I really like the song. What do you give it?
9. 9.
This is a clean, solid, sparkly, shiny 9. If it wasn't for seeing it live, it would have got like a 7. You'd have got a 7 for me. Literally, the live show bumped it up 2 points for me. I'm dead serious. So, anyway, good song. Good song. Talented musicians.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. There's some musicians that make me go, oh, I could do that. There are other musicians that are like, man, I want to take up my guitar and do something. And then there are other musicians that make me just want to throw my guitar away. Just like, these are people that could have that effect on you. Forget it. There's no point in playing this stupid instrument. I can't make it sound like that. All right. Then Al.
Sorry, Al.
Gone.